when do business loans matter most? And what I mean by that is what kind of loan works based on the stage that you're in for your business, and what kind of loans, credit lines, credit cards will work for you in the next stage, and the next stage, and the next stage. That's exactly what we're going to map out today. Like, you're going to leave here with a blueprint to know when business loans matter the most to your organization and what type of financing you should be looking at. Look, this is where most business owners completely screwed up. The reality is most business owners can get the funding that they want and they need. They're just looking at the wrong time at the wrong kind of product. And if you would just look at whatever stage you're in, even pre-launch or startup, at the right kind of funding, you'd see it's actually fairly easy to get the money that you need. The problem occurs when you're looking for the wrong kind of funding in the wrong stage of growth of your business. So we're going to fix that today. You are going to leave here and understand, here's where I am. Here's the kind of funding I can get in this stage. Next stage, I should be looking at this kind of funding, and next funding, and next funding. And that way you have a blueprint to success. You're looking for the funding in each stage of your business growth you can actually get. And then you're actually able to successfully go out there and get the money that you need. And you'll be like, wow, Ty, like, what the heck? This is way easier than what I've been doing. So let's get you the money you need to grow your business for every stage of the business that you are in or will be in. All right, so let's start at the beginning, right? Pre-revenue, startup phase, just an idea, just launching the business. So if you are in the newer stages of your business, and what I mean by newer stages, I mean, when you're not generating very much revenue, you're probably generating less than $50,000 in annual revenue. You could just have a concept at this point. You might actually be generating revenue. You might not be generating revenue. This is where we kind of consider it to be a startup phase. And in this startup phase, you might have had to be in business a year or 2 years at this point, but it really comes down to how much revenue you're generating. You haven't gained enough traction to really be generating consistent and increasing revenue. So when I talk about the startup phase, this is where we are. And at this phase, we're going to need initial capital, typically to launch and get the business really starting to grow and generating revenue. So in this stage, there's a few different ways you can fund the business. Now, my initial advice to you, and by the way, if you're just coming in, give me a shout out. Give me your business name right here on the stream. And I'm going to give you like a free plug. I'm going to mention your business name where thousands of people are going to be able to see it. What, Ty, you're giving me free advertising? I am. And all you have to do is say, hey, Ty, from my company name. Tell me even where you are, and I'll give you a shout out here. So startup phase. What you want to do in the beginning is you want to come in and start mapping out everything you think you're going to need. Look, building a business from the ground up is overwhelming. And the very first stage is, what do you need to do that? I'm going to make a list of every single thing I need. So I had a credit repair business. I built it. I sold it. So if I was doing this for that, I would say, okay, I know I need a printer. I need a fast printer that can handle a lot. I need paper. I need stamps, right? I need mail. I need computers. I need 2 monitors. I need at least 2 monitors. I need a laptop computer as well, right? I'm going to need a desk. I prefer a standing desk where it goes up and goes down. I'm going to need a chair. You get what I'm saying? Every single thing I'm going to need to be able to get that business off the ground, I'm going to put on there. I'm going to launch Facebook ads. I'm going to spend this much money on Facebook ads in a month. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go out and talk to real estate agents or mortgage brokers because they have a bunch of people turned down. So I'm going to need this budget to go out and talk to them. You need to map out every single thing you think you're going to need in the business. Now, by the way, this is kind of part of a business plan anyway. So if you're developing a business plan, this will help you. And if you already have a business plan, you probably already have a lot of this done. Once you've listed everything you need in that startup phase to launch the business, now it's time to get the money. Now, the easiest ways in this phase to get the business come from a few different sources. The easiest way to get funding in the startup phase is business credit, because anybody can get it. Your revenue doesn't matter, so it doesn't matter that you're a startup. Your personal credit doesn't matter. You probably have banged up credit if you're starting a business. Entrepreneurs, a lot of us do, right? So the next thing is you don't have any assets. You don't have any collateral in this stage either. So business credit, you can get beyond all that, and we can start getting $5,000, $10,000 limit accounts within 30 or 60 days. The other reason we want to build business credit at this point of the startup phase is because business credit on this list we made of stuff we need to buy, business credit's going to buy most of it for us. We can get accounts at UPS to get postage. I can get an account at Staples to go and get a printer. I can get an account at Dell to buy my computer, HP to buy my computer, Apple to buy my laptop that I need. Okay, my furniture I can get at IKEA or Amazon. Almost 100% of what I need, even advertising through Facebook ads, I can use business credit to get all of this. And that way I can get in about 60 days or less Business credit will give me the money to buy 90% of what I need to do to launch the business. So we want to get business credit because it's going to pay 9 out of $10 that we need to pay to launch this business. Now, the other kind of funding we're going to need here is we're going to probably want access to some credit cards or credit lines. And so for this, I'm going to really recommend Credit Line Hybrid. And by the way, I'm going to throw up some of these little QR codes. So we talked already about business credit building. Here's a free, 100% free guide. You can scan the QR code. I just hit my funny bone. It wasn't funny. Okay, so you can scan the QR code or go to that little URL, creditsuite.com/EIN. That'll give you the guide that you need. Then download it over 1 million times to build business credit. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to want Credit Line Hybrid at this point. Credit Line Hybrid gives us these credit lines at 0% we can use to fund the business. The average startup we see gets about $60,000 at this stage with this funding program. We have clients that get $150,000 or more. So usually 50 to 150 grand you can get with Credit Line Hybrid in this stage of the actual business. Okay, so at this stage, what we're going to do is we're going to get Credit Line Hybrid if you have good credit. If you don't have good credit, then you might rely on a guarantor, a family member, a friend, somebody like that who does have good personal credit. And we want to rely on them as a signer or our own credit to be able to get Credit Line Hybrid. This now has business credit that pays for 90% of what we need to launch the business. The other 10%, like payroll, some other marketing things we might not be able to use business credit for. Now we can use Credit Line Hybrid for this at this stage of the actual business. Now, some other things we want to consider in this stage is, do we have assets that could be served as collateral? So what I mean by that, and by the way, again, if you're coming in, say hi, give me your company name in the actual chat, and I'll give you a live shout out here on the stream. So in this stage, the other thing I want to look at is, do I personally have assets that I'm willing to pledge as collateral? More than likely stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, or cryptocurrency. If I have those kind of assets in this startup phase of funding a business, I'm going to look at those too, because those are viable ways to fund the business. I just talked to a guy that's launching these 2 brand new products, phenomenal products that he's getting ready to launch. Well, once he launches those and has sales, he can get inventory finance to pay for all of his inventory. He just needs money to launch. So he's using Credit Line Hybrid and good personal credit to get the money he needs to launch. He's also got investors, and the investors have stocks and bonds they're willing to pledge as collateral. So he's getting a 5% interest credit line borrowing against those stocks and bonds. And here's the best news. The investors still earn money like they normally would have. So this investor says, I want to invest in your business. Well, that investor is able to invest without spending any money out of pocket to do so, because they're taking stocks that are already invested in the stock market and leveraging those to get money to help the actual business owner that they're funding get the business launched. So in this stage, in the startup phase, business credit's a must. It pays 9 out of $10 that we need to pay. We also want to get Credit Line Hybrid. If we have good credit or a guarantor that does, that'll give us credit lines of $50,000 to $150,000 for all the rest of the stuff. And then we also want to be looking at, do we have any assets we could pledge as collateral to get more credit lines, stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, cryptocurrency. If we have those or another investor around us has those, we're in pretty good shape at this point. Now, let's look at the equity side. We've talked about debt financing. Let's talk about equity financing. At this stage, we also kind of really want to come in, and we also want to make sure, and Anthony Ledford Insurance Agency. Hello, Tony. Thank you very much for coming in, man. So at this stage, we also maybe want to consider angel investors. So in the startup phase of the business, we talked about some debt we can get, some credit lines and some other kind of business credit that we're able to get, asset-based lending. But at this stage, we also want to look at angel investors. Now, there's 2 categories of angel investors. There's ones that are called affiliated angels. These are people we know. It's my mom, my dad, my sister, it's my friends. These are people that I could go to in my circle and get them to invest. Then there's unaffiliated angels. These are people we do not know. Most people that are unaffiliated want to see that we have affiliated angels involved. Meaning, if I go to somebody that doesn't know me, they're going to want to see that like someone that does know me invested. If I go to somebody that doesn't know me and then they say, well, did anybody else invest? And we say no, then they're going to say, well, why wouldn't you go to affiliated angels first? And if I say, well, I don't want to go to them to invest, they're really leery about investing in us. Like if we don't even believe us in ourselves enough to go to family members, friend, and those around us to ask them to invest, why would we go to a stranger? That's how unaffiliated angels look at this. So if you're going to get money at this stage in the startup phase from angel investors, then what you really want to do is you want to make sure that you get affiliated angels involved first, then go to talk to unaffiliated angels, or then go to talk to people you don't know. And they're going to say, did other people invest? Say, yeah, my dad did, my sister did, my friend did. And then they're like, okay, now I'm interested in investing because the people that know, like, and trust you investing, then I feel more secure with investing here too. Other kind of financing we can get right here in this phase. First of all, equipment financing. If I need to buy a big piece of equipment to run this business or to launch it, I'm going to use specialized equipment financing here. And I'm going to use financing like credit line hybrid or the other products we talked about to cover the down payment for the equipment financing. For equipment financing, I usually need first and last month's payment. So if I use credit line hybrid to pay that down payment and equipment financing to buy the equipment, I'm limiting my cash out of pocket. Now, if you look at the strategy I'm developing for you, business credit paid 9 out of 10 things we needed to buy. It paid 90% of what we need to buy to launch the business. Business credit paid for. But then we need payroll and we need some more marketing stuff that business credit didn't pay for. So the next thing we do is we came in here, and I'm going to pull this up too. Then we actually look at credit line hybrid, right? And you can scan this or go to this URL. So credit line hybrid, all of a sudden, it gave us a credit line of $50,000 to $100,000, $150,000. We used our credit or somebody else's credit. Then we went and used stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, cryptocurrency, any assets that we have or someone else has. Then we used those as collateral to be able to get credit lines as well. And then if we want other money, we can go to angel investors, people that we know, or unaffiliated angels to get money there as well. If we want specialized financing to buy things like equipment, we're using equipment financing for that. If we even have a really cool, new, unique, interesting concept, we may even come in here and we may even use crowdfunding at this stage if we have something that's like a new, interesting, different concept. Or like maybe we're investing in real estate. There's real estate crowdfunding where we can get the money we need to invest from other investors through real estate crowdfunding. So at this point, I can use crowdfunding to be able to get the business launched as well. Now, we did it. Congratulations. We launched the business. We used any of these different methods, and I just gave you like 8 or 10 different ways to finance a startup. Now we're to a point now where we're in growth mode. Don't mislabel it as scaling. You are never scaling a business unless you are not involved truly in the operation. If you are on the outside and you have teams led by other people and you're just maybe the general strategist, if you could step away from the business and be gone for months, then you're in scaling mode. If you're not and you can't step away from the business, you're just trying to get more revenue, you're in growth mode. So in growth mode, now we need marketing. Now we need advertising. Now we need employees. So business credit is going to still continue to help us here. Business credit at this point, as we continue to build more business credit, now it's going to be able to get auto financing for us and wrap our vehicle to turn it into a mobile billboard, right? Business credit is going to be able to buy computers for all of our team. At Credit Suite, we get a laptop, an Apple laptop for every one of our members of our team. And of course, we ultimately get that back if they end up leaving the organization, but everybody gets an Apple laptop because we're mobile, we're virtual, everybody works in different places. So therefore, we get everybody a computer. When we had an office, we got physical computers at every station. So now we need more money for that stuff, right? Now we're growing. Now we might get an office. Now we might be hiring employees. So we're still going to use business credit at this stage to get our computers, to get our supplies, to get our office supplies. When I had my office, we had a refrigerator stacked with snacks, right? We had other snacks around. We bought that at Sam's Club. We bought that at Costco. Business credit's going to pay for all of that stuff during our growth mode. Business credit's even going to help us pay for some advertising. Even startup vendors and Visa, MasterCard, Amex cards we're now able to get without a personal guarantee, without a personal credit check in this stage. We're now using that kind of money to even start running some ads, to be able to go to places to buy yard signs and to buy flyers to market, right? To be able to go to Macy's and Nordstrom and suit up and wear nice professional clothes so we can go to networking events. So business credit, again, is carrying the way and paying for a lot of things here. But at this point, we also want to start dipping into revenue type financing to be able to get more loans and credit lines. Now, in this stage, in the expansion stage, in the growth stage, we do not want to get loans unless the loan is for a specific purpose. You see, if I get a loan, I have to start making a payment on it right away. So if I'm going to do that, I need that loan to go somewhere where it's getting me a return, or I'm not going to get a loan. I'm going to look at a credit line. So an example here is that at this stage, I need to start growing the business. And in order for me to start growing the business, how am I going to advertise? How am I going to market? If I start running Facebook ads and it's paying off and I start generating revenue and I want to scale it, then I may get a loan to scale what I already know is working. But if I'm just testing some concepts here, I'd probably rather use credit lines. So now that I've got some revenue behind me, I'm going to go to places like Fundbox. I'm going to go to places like Bluevine. Okay, Fundbox, Bluevine, On Deck. These provide some of the easiest to get credit lines for your business in this stage. So now we're growing, and now we're going to On Deck. Now we're going to Fundbox. Now we're going to Bluevine. We're showing them 6 months worth of bank statements. We're starting to use that to qualify for money. If we know we have something that could be a home run, we just want to get the money to scale an advertising campaign, then we want to look at things like merchant cash advances. We want to look at revenue lending. We want to look at PayPal loans, Square loans. We want to look at Stripe loans if we have money going through PayPal, Square, and Stripe at this stage. So these are perfect options for us to now get the financing we need in the growth or expansion stage, because now we have revenue. Now we're able to lean on that revenue and use that as leverage to be able to start getting money. Revenue lending, merchant cash advances, Bluevine credit lines, Fundbox credit lines, for example. Okay, other alternative lending credit lines. These are very good in this stage for us to use PayPal, Square, or Stripe to leverage to get money. Now we're able to start using this revenue we've generated to start getting the money for more growth and for expansion. Now, along the way, there's some things we're going to run into that we can use financing for. In this stage, if I have inventory, if I'm selling stuff online, for example, e-commerce, well, I can now get 100% of the money I need to buy the inventory. At this point, I've probably sold maybe 100, 150,000 in total product. Now, I don't ever have to buy inventory again. Now I can go and get financing through places like Kick Further, and Kick Further will give me 100% of the money I need for my inventory. So now I don't need to buy inventory. Now I can still get financing for equipment if I need that as well. So even if I don't have online inventory, I have other physical inventory on shelves, I can still use inventory financing now in this stage to actually start growing the business even more. Okay, so at this point, now we've kind of went from startup to expansion to growth. Now we're kind of looking at cash flow management, right? Now we start looking at major expansion. And for cash flow management, again, we want to continue to use business credit. Again, we want to use the credit lines that we've obtained at this point. Now we want to start financing our equipment. Now we want to start financing our inventory as well, and using inventory and using equipment financing for that as well. Now, and the other thing that we want to do is now we need to start getting more money. Now, 50,000 credit line ain't going to cut it. Now we need 300,000 in funding. Now we need 500,000. See, as the business grows, these small amounts of money we got in the startup phase don't work for us anymore. $50,000 credit line isn't going to work. I need 300 now. So now we start moving to this final stage of funding, and this is where we start moving into term loans and SBA type loans. Okay, now at this stage, we can go get venture capital money if we want. We can start getting private money from venture capitalists. So in this stage, we're well established. We've got 1 to 3 years worth of revenue. We've got 1 to 3 years worth of tax returns. We can go get term loans. These are 3 to 8 year loans, longer terms, lower payment. I'll start borrowing $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. We can now start getting SBA loans, simple SBA loans, $300,000, $350,000 SBA loans. These are ones I can get in a month's time just because I have a couple years worth of tax returns. Now I still have some collateral. I have inventory. I have equipment. I've got good established business credit. Now I can start getting those SBA loans. Look, this is like Mr. Miyagi here. What you don't realize is everything I've told you up to this stage got you to a point where now you can get this stage. See, now your business credit's established. Now you have a credit report that shows you paid all these people as agreed. Now you can get these term loans. Now you can get these SBA loans fairly easily because you've done the other things we've talked about to this stage. So now we're getting long-term loans. We're getting low interest rates. We're borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time, allowing us to majorly start growing and getting into scaling mode where you can step out of the business if you want to and you can have other people running the different daily aspects of the business for you. So in this stage, we're also coming out and getting credit lines. We're getting SBA credit lines. Those are the best kind of credit lines that we're typically able to get. And in this stage, we're able to get hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in funding, depending on the type of revenue that we're actually generating for the actual business. Now, keep in mind that we also want to be able to stock up on these credit lines for crisis management, for emergency repairs. We want to be able to have repair and maintenance of the things that we're actually buying to be able to run the business. We want to be able to have these credit lines available to take advantage of strategic moves or strategic opportunities, or to prepare for the unexpected, like COVID happening, right? So now at this point, we want to have enough of these credit lines open, and we want to continue to get credit lines. Every time we see any good viable credit line, we're going to get it. Okay, we get $150,000 credit line probably every quarter, not because we use it, but because if we need it, it's there. You always want to get money before you actually need it, especially if it's credit lines and business credit, not loans, because you're not paying payments on that money unless you actually are using it. So now the more of these credit lines that we stock up with, term loans, the SBA loans, the alternative credit lines, now the better we are positioned to take advantage of opportunities. Now, we may want to consider some debt restructuring. And what I mean by that is that if we obtain loans to get here, if we used revenue lending loans from on deck and merchant cash advances, now that we're well established, we probably want to just get one loan from SBA and just pay all that stuff off because it's high interest. So now the fund box credit line, which cost us more money, now that the revenue lending loan that had a short term and a very high payment, now we want to start paying that stuff off and restructuring it, because now our credit lines have lower rates and higher loan amounts. So for example, the last credit line we got here at Credit Suite was to pay off our fund box credit line. We already had a credit line with fund box and we still kept it, but we got another credit line too to pay off fund box. Why did we do that? Because we saved $8,000 a month in payment by getting a new credit line to replace fund box. Fund box is expensive money. The SBA credit line wasn't. We got the SBA credit line. We paid off Fundbox. We saved $8,000 a month in payment. Fundbox is still there if we want it needed. It's still there for us to use. But now we saved $8,000 a month because we now grew up, we graduated, we qualify for a better credit line. This is what we call debt restructuring. And we're able to do this now because now our business is enough established where we can get longer terms and lower interest rates and higher loan amounts and higher credit line amounts. So now we can restructure and pay off all this expensive debt. And hey, even if we pay off an expensive credit line, it's still there if we need it, but we at least aren't paying on it now. We're paying a much lower payment and a lower interest rate on a better credit line. That walks you through the loans to get through every stage of the business. We talked about getting a lot of different ways to getting money to launch a brand new business. Then we talked about getting the money you need to get through the growth to start really generating revenue. Then we talked about the money you need to get to major expansion so we can start getting hundreds of thousands or millions. And then we talked about debt restructuring, where we pay off the high interest rate debt that got us here. And then we still have those credit lines available if we need them. But now we've graduated. Now we're to low interest, long-term loans and lines that help us restructure that debt and be able to lower our payments and then still have that there for emergency uses. But now we've graduated. Now we're to SBA loans and lines. And now we're going to be able to continue to get lower interest rate, longer term loans and lines. So that is the process. If you need help along the way, make sure you give us a shout out. Remember, we charge you $0 to help you actually get funding. So if you need our help along the way to get any of these kind of loans or credit lines, then go right here to creditsuite.com/consult. Also, don't forget, we are the home of the Fundability software. Fundability is the only software in the world that tells you a fundability score, your likelihood to get funded, right? It actually gives you a clear path to improve your fundability, build your business credit, and get loans and credit lines as well. So this actually gives you this unique opportunity to be able to come in and be able to do all the things you need to get credit and financing in one place. So if we can help you along the way, check us out at creditsuite.com/consult. If you're just coming in and you missed any part of this, then go back and watch this on the social channel that you're on from the beginning. And therefore, you'll get all the information you need to be able to walk through the different stages of funding. Hey, King Royalty says, hey, Ty, looking to set up my 5th LLC. Congratulations on being your 5th. I haven't been successful with funding. This time I'm setting up the way to suggest be fundable. That is good job. Look, most reasons that business owners get denied is their fundability is not set up. That accounts for over 60% of all denials. So fixing that is going to put you on the right track, King Royalty. And Dwayne Mayweather, thanks for coming in and saying, hey, and saying fire, 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 fire. I love it. King Royalty also say, I'll let you know how it goes. Look forward to working with the Credit Suite team to help grow my business. Always great information. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go back and watch this in its entirety if you missed it from the beginning. And I look forward to seeing you next time where we talk about more cool ways to get the money you need.